Game on, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for tuning in to Box Score Radio. I'm your host, Jay Keaton. It is Monday, October 21st, 2019. It is horrible weather here in Ohio. I'm sure in California, Florida, Texas, and Georgia, it's sunshine, 65 degrees, whatever. Here it's 55 degrees, cloudy, and scattered thunderstorms. But this is why we have sports, to hang our hats on something other than the horrible jobs we currently waste our lives at. Which is why I love sports, because it lets us, take a break from our lives and have fun arguments and, think about something other than work. So this is why I do this podcast, to inform everybody what you might have missed, give my take on, what transpired over the sports weekend and what to look forward to this week. So let's get started. Let's flash back to Saturday. Hell of a week in college football. We had some upsets. We had some good games. Games that are starting to shape the college football season. Start with Friday night. Number 4, Ohio State took care of business against Northwestern, 52-3. Northwestern's 1-5 on the season. Ohio State right now, they're looking really good, but they need to play somebody, because the toughest team they've played so far is Cincinnati, and they're like 4-2, 5-2 on the season. That's the best team they've played overall, and it's easy to look good when you have a shitty schedule. All right, moving on to Saturday. Number 3, Clemson defeats Louisville 45-10. Number 5, Oklahoma over West Virginia 52-14. Jalen Hurts continues to put up mad numbers. He makes it look so freaking easy. 16-17, 316 yards, 3 touchdowns. My God. Can you play a little defense? Get a little pressure. You let a guy go 16-17 is ridiculous. For 300 yards, good Lord. He's probably, between him and Joe Burrow, I think that's going to be the race for the Heisman, especially since Tua just went down. He'll be out, I'd say, at least 2 weeks. They'll sit him out until they play LSU. Usually how it works. Big upset of the weekend. Number 6, Wisconsin falls to Illinois 24-23. Wisconsin led 23-14 in the fourth quarter with 9 minutes left. Illinois scores, gets a 2-point conversion. They're down to 3. Wisconsin on third down. This is the reason why I believe that Penn State is the second best team in the Big Ten. If you can stop Jonathan Taylor, you can beat Wisconsin. Northwestern proved that earlier this year. Jonathan Taylor was 28 carries, 132 yards, and a touchdown. It's really good. Really good. But 28 carries, 132 yards. And then the reason is quarterback Jack Cohn. He's more of a manager rather than a playmaker. He's not going to take a game over on the season. He's 9 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. That's telling me they're not giving him the ball enough. They're relying a little too much on Jonathan Taylor to run the ball and get about 150, 160 yards a game with 3 scores. If you stop them and make them one-dimensional and make Cohn throw the ball, you got a shot. I mean, Illinois' quarterback was 9 of 21, 174 yards. He did have 2 touchdowns. A late score in the fourth quarter, but 9 of 21, 174 yards is not good. It's amazing to me. We look at Wisconsin did have 3 turnovers too. But what's amazing to me is we look at a team that's so one-dimensional, especially you think about football in general today in 2019. You got to be able to throw the football. Running it isn't always that big of a deal. You can be one-dimensional and throw the ball and have no running game. But if you have a running game and that's all you rely on, and they key on a defense keys on that, and they stop you, and they make you earn these yards, You can stay with them. And Wisconsin's that team. I believe Penn State's the second best team because I believe they're faster on the perimeter and their quarterback is just a little bit better. He's got a little bit better tendencies. He's more comfortable throwing the ball. I don't think since Wisconsin relies so much on running the ball, you try to get him in a position to throw the ball, and look what happens. Late pick, field goal, game over. You just got beat. So now you lose to a 2-4 Illinois team, and you got to go travel on the road next week to Ohio State. And it's a 10.5-point game right now. 10.5-point spread right now. And it's probably going to get bigger as the week goes out. So there you go from national championship contender, top 6 team, to you're going to lose 2 in a row, and you're going to be out of the playoff. You're going to be out of the division race pretty much. Good win for Illinois, but you can't be one-dimensional. And I called it, and I love being right, and I'm always going to brag when I'm right. Penn State's the second best team in the Big Ten, and they proved it. Florida over South Carolina, 38-27. This one was close. Couple of questionable calls. In the end, Florida gets it done. There was a pick. There was one of those pick plays where the offensive receiver tries to block him. I have no problem with that play. I don't understand why they always try to eliminate this. Like the blindsided block. I hate the blindsided block rule because it's up to the referee. It's too much of a judgment call. It's up to the referee to decide whether or not he thinks the defender was able to see the blocker, and if he believes that they throw the penalty and he gets blocked, they throw the penalty. So, but the pick play cost South Carolina, gave Florida a touchdown and cost South Carolina the game. Otherwise, it was pretty close. It was a valiant effort, but they came up short. Number 11 Auburn takes care of Arkansas 51-10. Iowa over Purdue 26-20. Number 2 LSU over Mississippi State 36-13. Joe Burrow 25 of 32, 327 yards, 4 touchdowns. If he can take care of business next week against Auburn and then Alabama, and you don't even have to win these games. He doesn't even have to win the Heisman. You just got to play well, don't turn the ball over, and this guy could be raising that trophy at the end of the year. Number 12 Oregon over Washington 35-31. I was watching this whole game. There was it was a moment in that game where you felt like Washington was just going to take it over and Oregon wasn't going to come back. But Justin Herbert, 24-38, 280 yards, 4 touchdowns. Jacob Eason, though, for Washington, 23 of 30, 289 yards, 3 touchdowns. But, Washington's up 28-14 in the third. 14-yard run. They go up 31-21. And then right before the end of the quarter, 36-yard pass to Micah Pittman, 31-28, and then a late score in the fourth quarter, and Oregon gets it done. They remain the best team in the Pac-12. Defensively, they gave up a lot of points. Gave up 414 total yards, but didn't turn the ball over. Gave them a chance to win, and they took advantage of it. Number 19, SMU over Temple, 45-21. I was admittedly wrong on this pick. I thought Temple's defense was going to step up. But, giving up 45 points, 33 first downs, and 655 total yards. SMU, my God, they got a great offense. Because Temple's defense is pretty freaking tough. Number 20, Minnesota stays undefeated against Rutgers for 42-7. Rutgers, they're 1-6 on the season. Their only win is against UMass first week. It's just a horrible program right now. I don't know what the hell they're thinking. Joining the Big Ten, they could barely compete in the Big East. Now they're in the Big Ten, and they're just hands down the worst team in the conference for like the last 5 years since they joined. Pretty pathetic. Number 21, Cincinnati over Tulsa. 24-13. App State over UL Monroe, 52-7. I thought this game could be close. App State proved me wrong. Baylor over Oklahoma State. A lot of people had Oklahoma State. I did too. On the road, Baylor hadn't played anybody. Their toughest team was Rice, but they proved they can put points on the board. They had a couple of turnovers go their way. They had a fumble recovery for a touchdown. But their quarterback, 13 of 17, 312, a touchdown, didn't turn the ball over. You know, it helps out. They have a meaty part of the back end of their schedule. Their last 3 games, they got Oklahoma and Texas. But who knows? Who knows? If they're undefeated in that Oklahoma game, that could be very interesting. It's at Baylor. Vanderbilt upsets Missouri 21-14. Georgia shuts out Kentucky 21-0. This one was 0-0 in the third quarter. Georgia gets late. They're starting to struggle on offense. Here's the thing about Georgia. I've seen college football. I've been watching college football for about 20 years. Georgia will either lose another 2 games, go 9-3, lose the bowl game, or they win the national championship. Because they're too talented, too well coached, but they're just not finding any rhythm offensively, but defensively, they're freaking stacked. Still great defensively. They didn't turn the ball over, I don't think, in this game. And we saw what happens, 21-0. Number 13, Utah over Arizona State, 21-3. Utah is 6-1 on the season. Listen to these numbers, though. Arizona State's quarterback, 4 of 18, 25 yards and an interception. That's like a QBR of like 0.2. I mean, this is just, I've had blood alcohol levels higher than that. Just defensively, they are fucking great. 136 yards of total offense for Arizona State. So Utah's D is for real. And Utah turned the ball over 4 times. They turned the ball over 4 times and still won 21-3. Unbelievable. Between them and Oregon, it's going to be good. The Pac-12 is a very interesting conference this year. Texas survives Kansas 50-48. Game of the week, Penn State over Michigan 28-21. I would have seen this one coming. Michigan actually played a lot better than I thought they would offensively. They play Notre Dame next week. And Notre Dame, I understand this. I understand people picking Michigan. Vegas originally had Michigan a 7.5 point favorite. They're now 1.5. It's one of these games that I can see why. Notre Dame, Brian Kelly has got to come up with a game plan in this one. You've got to find a way to keep Shea Patterson from running the ball. Defensively, here's the thing about Michigan now. They're healthy. Their receivers are healthy. Their defense is healthy. It's going to be tough. It's a 7:30 night game. If you're Ian Book, do not turn the ball over. Do not make stupid play calls. Let Chase Claypool and Cole Kmet do the work for you. Got to establish the running game. Keep Michigan's offense off the field. If you can do that, you can come away with a victory. Otherwise, you're going to lose this one. And even if Michigan wins this game, it's not going to be a good win for Harbaugh because Notre Dame isn't looked at. They're looked at as a good team, but they're not great. And on the at home at night game, in a game in which you really haven't beaten anybody, it's kind of one where, okay, you're Michigan, you're going to get a bone every now and then. And this might be their bone, so gnaw on it. Alabama over Tennessee, 35-13. And the upset that I called, BYU upsets number 14, Boise State, 28-25. Boise State's first loss on the season. Pretty close game, but 2 turnovers for Boise led to BYU getting it done. Okay, so I was right. All right, let's go over the college football rankings real quick. We have a new top 25 that was released today. Number 1, Alabama. Number 2, LSU. Number 3, Ohio State. Number 4, Clemson. And number 5, Oklahoma. Clemson is falling because they're not playing anybody that's ranked. But, again, just stay undefeated. You're the defending national champions. You're going to be in. Just keep taking care of business. I'm telling you, if you underestimate Clemson, it'll be your worst nightmare. They are too talented, and Trevor Lawrence is too good for them to be ignored just because of their schedule. So look out for them. 5 through 10, Oklahoma, Penn State, Florida, Notre Dame, and Auburn. And Georgia, excuse me. That rounds out the top 10. You got LSU, Auburn next week. Going to be a good one. Georgia's still in the top 10. Again, scary team, too talented. Don't sleep on them. But they got a tough schedule ahead of them. They got to play Florida. They got to play Auburn. If they get to the SEC championship game, they're going to have to play Alabama or LSU. But they're too talented. They're flipping, they're flopping. Jekyll and Hyde. We'll see what happens. 11 through 15, Oregon, Utah, Wisconsin, Baylor, and Texas. Really no discussion necessary there. 16 through 20, SMU, Minnesota, Cincinnati, Michigan. Michigan only falls 3 spots from losing. I disagree with that. Is Penn State really that good? Are they Ohio State? Are they Alabama? Are they Clemson? Are they Oklahoma? No. They're Penn State. They're good. They're a hell of a lot better than they were last year, and they got the best chance to beat Ohio State, but I don't see how you can drop Michigan only 3 spots. At least 6 spots, I'd say. They need to be at least 21st, I think. 20 through 25, Iowa, App State, Boise State, Iowa State, who's now in the top 25, Arizona State, and Wake Forest round out the top 25. All right, here's my overall takeaway for this weekend. What did we learn? Wisconsin's one-dimensional. I'm glad that Notre Dame was on a bye because they're going to need 2 weeks to beat Michigan. They got to get healthy. They got to come up with a good game plan against that defense and that pass rush. We learned that Oregon and Justin Herbert, they have a serious grit. Their defense, a little iffy. Maybe not as good as everybody hyped them up to be, but they're still great. And Penn State proved me right by being the second-best team in the Big Ten. All right. Hell of a weekend. Can't wait for next week. Go Irish. NFL Week 7. What do we got here? Started off with the Thursday night game. I think I went over that. Chiefs-Broncos. Mahomes goes down, but the Broncos still lose because they suck. Rams over the Falcons, 37-10. Matt Ryan. I don't know. This could be the beginning of the end. You can always tell injury prone, not looking like an MVP caliber. Even though a lot of people picked him to be in the candidacy this year in contention, but I'm not seeing it. Bills over the Dolphins, 31-21. The Dolphins made it interesting early, but the Bills are just too good of a team, and the Dolphins are just too bad of a team. Jaguars defeat the Bengals, 27-17. This one had me scared a little bit. I was watching this saying, come on, guys, do not lose to the Bengals, okay? You're 2-4 on the season, Minshew. Get this done. And he came alive in the fourth quarter. Total yards was 460 to 291. Andy Dalton, though, my God. Could you at least look like you care to throw a pick? He'd throw a completion and an interception, and he'd have the same look on his face. Can you act like you care to throw an interception? Beginning of the end for him as well. I mean, you've had, 7, 8 seasons with him? No playoff wins. A.J. McCarron gave Cincinnati a better chance to win a playoff game than he ever has. Now you're 0-7 on the season. You're arguably the worst team. Just looked horrible in that fourth quarter. Just absolute garbage. Got to start making a change there. Vikings over the Lions, 42-30. Kirk Cousins is starting to look like a hell of a player. He 337 yards, 4 touchdowns. Minnesota's starting to find their groove, 5-2 on the season. NFC North is going to be a hell of a race there between the Vikings and the Packers. The Bears have basically eliminated themselves, and the Lions are just 2-3-1 on the season. So they're starting to play their way out of the division lead. It's Vikings and Packers, and it should be, because those are one of the two best franchises in the NFL. Definite great fan bases, fun to watch. Packers take care of business. They beat the Raiders 42-24. Aaron Rodgers, 6 touchdowns. Jesus, is he ready to make a statement, huh? Is he playing like a badass? Colts over the Texans, 30-23. AFC South, a little more interesting now. Texans are 4-3. Indianapolis 4-2, so they're in Indianapolis. Is freaking Jacoby Brissett has them in the lead of the AFC South right now. Ridiculous. That's a tight division though. Jacksonville, keep playing hard, and you got a chance. Cardinals upset the Giants 27-21. 49ers over the Redskins 9-0. San Francisco's got the best defense in the NFL. No offense to the Patriots. And even though it was just Washington, San Francisco's played better teams, better offenses. They just look great. Case Keenum, 9 of 12, 77 yards. I don't know. The time of possession here has to be ridiculous. I don't know what the hell they were doing. Only had 1 turnover, 7 penalties, 154 yards total offense for Washington. Thank God you played Miami, huh? Otherwise, you'd be 0-7 instead of 1-6. Titans over the Chargers, 23-20. Saints over the Bears, 36-25. I'm going to go back to the Saints here. Ravens beat the Seahawks 30-16, and the Cowboys beat the Eagles 37-10. And I actually liked this game for the Cowboys because it just proves my prediction that the Saints are the best team in the NFC, and they're going to go to the Super Bowl because there were 2 teams mainly that people were talking about, the Cowboys and the Eagles. And even though the Cowboys get this one done, they're 4-3 on the season. They're too inconsistent. I really like Dak Prescott. I really like Zeke. I like their defense, but Jason Garrett sucks as a head coach, and he needs to go. If you're Dallas, you are a head coach away from getting to the Super Bowl and winning it. But back to the Saints. I predicted the Saints would win the NFC and get to the Super Bowl against the Patriots. Guess what? They're looking more and more like the best team in the NFC, and they're 6-1 in the season. And Bridgewater's starting to come together. And Drew Brees isn't back yet. When he comes back, as long as he doesn't try to screw up any kind of rhythm they have and just let his playmakers, do their thing, I think the Saints are making it all the way to the championship. I don't know who's going to win it, but I think Brees and Brady slug it out for the Super Bowl. And like I said, the Eagles losing, going to 3-4, just helps my case. So, hell of a week in the NFL. I won my fantasy league, so I'm 5-2 in my fantasy league. In second place, I'm not scoring as many points, but I am still winning games, and that's all I'm worried about. Overall takeaway, I think it's pretty clear. We're starting to see the pack separate. We're starting to see who teams really are. The Eagles aren't shit. The Rams are really good. The Bills are in contention. Bengals are the worst team in the NFL. The Packers are good. The AFC South is a mess. And the 49ers have the best defense. They're inconsistent on offense. I think they rely on their defense a little too much, which could come back to hurt Garoppolo. But because he was 12 of 21, 151 yards and an interception. It was a sloppy game, horrible weather. But San Francisco, don't rely on your defense, and you got a chance. But I think that's the difference between the Saints and the 49ers of who's going to the NFC Championship. I think defensively and offensively, top to bottom, Saints are the best team. And 49ers are close, but they're not good offensively. Packers are good, but defensively they have holes. So I'm sticking with the Saints to win the NFC. Patriots win the AFC by default because the AFC is down this year. And coming up to halfway point, it's getting interesting, very interesting. Okay. Yes, unfortunately, the Yankees lost. Yes, unfortunately, you got the Nationals versus the Astros. Yes, unfortunately, I will not watch 1 second of the World Series, and I'm going to tell you why. Because I don't give a shit. How can you give a shit about the Nationals, who are a wild card, and the Astros, who've already won it, who won it last year? So they really needed the Yankees to win this thing. Have Yankees versus Nationals. It would be much better on the ratings, more viewers. But now that you got this one, this matchup between the Nationals and Astros, first game, Game 1 starts Tuesday in Houston. I really don't want to see Houston win it again. You know, for me, I'm the person. I'm not going to root for. I'm not going to say I'm rooting for them to win because I think they're going to win. I think the Astros are going to win this thing, but the Nationals haven't won it, and even though they're a wild card, and it kind of disproves my theory, or it kind of proves my theory right about why I hate Game 7. I hate series like this because how wrong is it that a team could beat a team 3 times in a row and still lose that series? Because the other team wins 4 times in a row. It's kind of stupid. If you want to make it best of 3, okay. I always love just one game. And then the argument is always, well, what if the other team just plays bad? Well, then they play bad. If it's this, they're not going to play. That's the whole thing. They're not going to play their worst game if they know that this is it. They're going to give everything. If it's a 7-game series, how do you know a team's not going to take off? Even in the World Series, how do you know a team's going to be like in the 8th inning and they're down 4-3? How do you know the players aren't going to say, well, you know what, we're still leading 3-1 in the series, so why don't we just rest for the couple innings, let them burn themselves out, risk injury, and then we'll beat them next week when we're at home? You know, it's stupid. I hate Game 7s. I hate 7-game series. 5's too much, 7's way too much, 3 maybe okay, but just play one freaking game and let it decide that way. Okay, the best team's always going to win. But if you go that way, the best team's always going to win. You go 7 games, is the best team really going to win? What if their starters get hurt the 3rd game, they're up 3-0, and then all of a sudden your rotation's all screwed up, your hitters can't do shit, they're in a slump, and all of a sudden you lose 4 in a row. You lose the series 4 games to 3 in 7. It's garbage. I hate it. Go Nationals. Get the championship. You deserve it. Okay. All right. Now moving on. I'm sniffled. I can't breathe. Give me a second. Okay. All right. I love to rant about that shit too. Hate series like that. 7-game series. Give me a freaking break. NHL scores for Sunday. For those of you who might not know, the NHL season is kicked off a couple weeks ago. Sunday scores: the Canucks beat the Rangers 3-2. Minnesota Wild over the Canadiens 4-3. Blackhawks fall to the Capitals 5-3. Jets beat the Oilers 1-0 in a shootout, and the Flames beat the Ducks 2-1. Here's my opinion on hockey. I love it. I wish it was on TV more. Again, though, just like the NBA, just like Major League Baseball, too many games, too many 7-game series. How do you anticipate every single game when there's so many? You know, you go back to the St. Louis Blues last year. I think they fired their coach, and they were like completely out of, what were they, like 20 games below 500 or something at the All-Star break, and they come back and win the whole thing. Again, does that really prove you're the best team because you get hot at the right time? Or, I mean, I don't get it. Let's eliminate these games. You know, you'll get more sellouts. You'll get more viewership if you just eliminate them. If you can't, too many games to follow. It's not worth it. I don't understand it. Start cutting back a little bit. That's why the NFL is number 1. You want to know why the NFL? Because they make it a spectacle every single week. Oh, it's Sunday. It's the NFL. It's not, you know, imagine if hockey or basketball, I don't know. Basketball is kind of taken off a little bit. I'll give them credit because they're star-powered. But, you know, in hockey, imagine if it was Wednesday. You know, the only day that you play hockey. Or like Saturday or Friday night. You know, you're going to get more excitement. It'll be more of a spectacle. When you play 3-4 games a week, it's kind of, oh, well, how'd they do this week? You'll just look at, even if you're a true hockey fan, you're just going to look at what they did throughout the week. You'll look at Saturday, it's like, what was their record? Oh, they went 3-1. Oh, they went 1-3. Doesn't matter. You know, make it 1, maybe 2 games a week. Start cutting it back a little bit. Get rid of the game 7. Get rid of the 7-game series, and start making these games mean a little more, rather than losing 20-something games in a row and still winning the championship. It doesn't make sense to me. It's why NFL is number one. It's why football is number one in this country. Because, it's a spectacle. It's an event. It's not just a game. NBA season starts Tuesday. Lakers, Clippers. I got to give my official predictions. I'm going with the Clippers winning the ship. There's nobody in the East that really scares me at all as far as who's intimidating. Boston's overrated. Philadelphia's missing pieces. Toronto lost their best player and the best player in the NBA, Kawhi Leonard. So they're going to take a step back. Lakers and Clippers, I get it, but I love Paul George, and Kawhi's the best player. I'm going to take that. They're building. LA opens a 2.5-point favorite. They might be able to win this one, but I think the Clippers get this one. And also the other game, the Raptors and Pelicans. We just heard the news. Zion Williamson is out 6 to 8 weeks. ACL surgery or something like that, whatever. Toronto's 7-point favorite. They'll win by 10. And the Raptors could win the East, no problem, but they ain't doing. Nobody in the East is winning the championship. The Clippers and Lakers are to me, without question. I mean, maybe Brooklyn, but I'm pretty sure Kevin Durant's still hobbling on one leg. Kyrie is good. He's real good, but he can't do it himself. He's proven that in Boston. So it's going to be at least a year for them to get hot. So the West is taking the ship this year, and I think the Clippers are doing it. And I'm going with the Clippers to win Game 1 to start the season, and then I'm going to say the Sixers get there just because default. I don't like anybody else. Sixers, Clippers win it in 4 games. I think they could sweep them, honestly. And Clippers win the ship. NBA champions. And Kawhi wins his 3rd MVP, 2nd in a row. And 3rd with 3 teams, which would be pretty freaking impressive. I don't think anybody's ever done that. 3 championships with 3 different teams. Hella good. All right, and that takes care of the weekend. Great weekend in sports. Love it being lazy, watching TV, taking some notes. Tonight, Patriots-Jets. Patriots, 10-point favorite. I've seen enough in one game from Sam Darnold to know that the Jets are definitely a better team. They are a different team with him in the lineup. Promise, Patriots are still the Patriots. And even though they haven't played anybody, the best team they've played is the Bills, which they barely had to squeak by. Next best team, the Giants. I mean, so they've had a weak schedule so far. And I think this game is going to be closer than 10 points. So I think the Jets cover. But the Jets are not winning this one. The Patriots get it done 24-16. Give them 8 points, okay? All right, ladies and gentlemen. I can't breathe. I am exhausted. I am tired. But I love doing this podcast, and I'm going to keep doing it until I finally croak. So keep listening, keep tuning in. Like, subscribe, tell a friend. And remember, Monday and Friday, uploaded on YouTube at Box Score Radio. And I am tapped out, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for tuning in, and I will catch you on Friday, players.